Extreme Collectibles with a piece that's been reviewed quite a bit online, so I don't know if anybody will watch this, and if you're watching it, you may be the only one. So I could give out some wisdom or, final words if something was to happen to me this afternoon, and you would be the only one to hear them. Think about it. Extreme Collectibles here with Sideshow's premium format Miles Morales Spider-Man. So I got late in the game on this one. I actually ended up buying it secondhand. I wanted the exclusive, and it's going for an outrageous amount of money. Thankfully, there was a guy I know on Facebook who I bought from before. Extremely stand-up guy that is just great to deal with. And I got it, I want to say I paid a little bit more, maybe $100 more than retail for the exclusive, which isn't too bad in my opinion. But Sideshow made 1,500 of these. 1,000 were the collector's edition, so no switch outs, and then they had 500 of the exclusive. So on the exclusive we have two different left hands. You have one here where he's just a normal hand, so this is the collector's edition and the exclusive, and then the exclusive he is holding his mask in the left hand. And then the collector's edition has the mask portrait that you see here. And the exclusive has the unmasked switch out. Which is kind of interesting. To me, this is one of those statues where I'm probably going to display the collector's edition, not the exclusive switch outs, but I like to have them. So, Miles Morales is from an alternate Spider-Man universe. It recently became really popular in the Into the Spider-Verse animated film. And he's Spider-Man in a different dimension, and in this film, all the different Spider-Man dimensions kind of merge, so all the Spider-Mans work together. Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man, and everyone's kind of a different character. So in here, you kind of see it's a different take on Venom for the statue below, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But retail price on this originally was around $520, $530. Came in one box. Actually had quite a few pieces to it. So Venom's base was one, and then the tendrils were 3 different magnetized parts plus his tongue. And then Miles Morales himself, his hand is actually part of the Venom statue, and you key in his wrist to that. And then his head and, of course, his left hand are switch outs. A little worried because this is the only thing completely holding him up. One interesting note, too, I put the tongue in via magnet on the inside, and one of the things, you'll see some close-up pics, it looks like it's one piece. I don't even know how they did that. I'm trying to find the seam, and I can't. So, props to Sideshow on the design for that. But, yeah, standard Sideshow box, shipping, and very cool piece. I'm really excited to have it. I got it because I have a massive Spider-Man collection, and I'm probably going to move it eventually behind me where the thrones are now. So it'll be Spider-Man behind there. I want to move thrones somewhere else because the thrones always are much bigger pieces. Like you could fit, 2 or 3 smaller Spider-Man pieces. I do have XM Spider-Gwen, so go check out that review if you haven't seen it yet. So he will pair perfect next to that. But let's just talk about the concept and design. So conceptually, Miles Morales Spider-Man, here he is fighting, an alternate version of Venom. Kind of looks like Little Shop of Horrors a little bit. Really reminds me of Feed Me Seymour, Suddenly Seymour. Man, that girl has pipes. And she was, I believe she was the original actress on Broadway. And then Rick Moranis, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and Spaceballs. Mel Brooks thought of, let's make Darth Vader Rick Moranis. OMG. That's just genius right there. Spaceballs. I gotta watch that. It's such a good movie. Why aren't there any Spaceballs statues? Would you buy them? Comment if you would. But I don't even know how I got started. Little Shop of Horrors, that's right. So here he is fighting Venom. Venom's on the base here. You have Venom, large size Venom. He's jumping over them. The tendrils are coming out, trying to catch Spider-Man. They can't. One tendril is actually extremely close over here. I'm a little worried about rubbing. That's what she said. But he's jumping over it. He's diving over the top. Depending whether you have the masked or unmasked version, he was in the middle of turning into Spider-Man. Who knows what's going on? But very, very action. Kind of an awkward pose, to be honest with you. It just looks kind of awkward. Look at some of these pictures here. It looks weird. Of course, the human body looks a lot more awkward than we think, especially if you've ever videotaped yourself being intimate with someone else. It's not as good as it looks, so I've heard. Not that I've ever done that with this camera. But really cool. Design-wise, everything went together really well, other than this tendril being extremely close to his left leg and leaning issues because all the weight is on his right hand. I think it was a really good design by Sideshow. I especially as I talk about the tongue, you can't even tell where it merges in between. And that tongue looks like it could do some damage. But very good concept, very cool design. And let's jump right into the paint and sculpt on this because I really think that there's some awesome things and just, letting the cat out of the bag now. I think the base makes the statue, the base and the portrait, the unmasked portrait. The rest of it, there's a little bit of, it looks okay, but some of it's really good. So starting with Venom's tendrils, really, really cool here. I really like the colors they used on them. Not just, your traditional black, but there's, obviously there's the purplish that's kind of mixed in, and I love the sculpt of it and how it's kind of rising up. And then kind of on the neck aspect, I would say, of Venom of the base. Very similar, but it's a darker purple. Looking really cool. I'm not a fan of how they did his eyes or the smoothness on the head aspect of it. And especially the paint on the eyes, the white silver paint. The inside of the mouth is where the action's really at. There's so much cool stuff going on here. First of all, you can see his teeth. Tiny little teeth. Where Venom is traditionally monstrous teeth in the regular universe, but it looks really, really cool. And then they use that resiny, liquidy type effect to make it look moist on the inside of his mouth here. And his tongue just coming out. And look at that sculpt and look at that detail. Really, really cool. And then here's a picture of his tongue, almost a translucent resin, but it's not. It's that pinkish flesh tone mouth color. Moist. Things are moist. I don't think I ever used the word... Well, I guess I do use the word moist a lot. Not in the way you're thinking, sickos. But, so really, really cool base. I love that part of it. I think Miles, there's a little bit left to be said. So, just looking at his black costume, there's not a lot of... I wish they would have added some texture to it. I think that would have elevated to the next level. Some of the areas you can see some muscular sculpt beneath his costume. Some you cannot, which he is a young kid, so he wouldn't be roided out by any means. A few of the seams you can see here in the costume, and it's this one, black matte color throughout the entire thing. I do like the red stitching, both here on the front. You can see the spider webbing. I like the color of it. It pops really well, I think. And then on the back, maybe more of that to the costume would have been better. So overall with Miles, a lot of pros and cons. It doesn't wow you, which you're looking for a statue, especially when you spend $500 or $600. You're kind of looking for that wow factor. The base does do it, but Miles, it just doesn't wow until you get to the unmasked portrait, which I'm not going to review the masked portrait. You saw that in the switch out. It looks good. I like the... I have the same comments on that I talked about on his suit. So let's jump into the unmasked portrait. First, his hair looks okay. They could have done more definition on the sculpt. The coloring is fine. Then the unmasked portrait here, it's good. It's really good, actually. Not necessarily likeness to the animated movie, but there is some likeness to it. But I think it's just good sculpt, good definition. I like the stoic look on his face, how determined he is. The detail in his eyes and his nose and his lips and the different darker flesh tones they use there. Good sculpt on his face. It's really cool. It's funny how Sideshow seems, and I know it's dependent on the sculptor and the QC and the art direction, but how sometimes they can knock out one part of the statue really well. So I think the base is amazing. I think the unmasked head sculpt is very good, and I think the body is fine as normal. But it's a cool piece. I like the fact it doesn't take up too much real estate. So really quick, he's very short, I think 17 inches. Yeah, at the top here he's 17 inches. And then it's like 8 inches long, which isn't that big to amateurs. And 10 inches deep or wide or depth, width, whatever. But very cool piece. I appreciate you checking this out, you sole person, probably the only person who watched this. And let me know if you got this. I know there's a few custom Miles Morales coming out, but none really spoke to me. You know, especially the fact that they're probably more expensive than I actually paid for this guy. So I'm really excited to add him to my Spidey collection. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that bell. Please give me a like. Please give me a comment. And I don't like asking for things, so if you don't want to do any of that, don't. With that being said, thanks for watching. Take care.